Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba lunaku lwaleero akkiriza bulijjo President Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine banankyukakyuka kye bamugamba.
We disagree intensely over so many things, but the following day we look out for each other to talk about our disagreements, but also about our country. That's what we need, not grandstanding. To talk about the issues that have made Dr. rest, but without conviction. He probably could have done better. We needed him badly in these moments, because these are moments for sobriety to reign in the midst of those who willed and desire to see a better Uganda. I stand here to promise you that will be part of that conversation, with a common desire, a single desire of seeing that we churn out a progressive possibility, regardless of what we disagree on. At least we agree on one thing, that all has gone wrong, and therefore we owe destiny a fresh conversation. And known to so many people, when they see us on these national platforms, we are a product of solid families. And where families crumble, we are equally incapacitated. Therefore, we understand how you have upheld his much cherished stances over great national issues, and we feel your sense of loss. Mr. President and this family, these are the worst times to lose the caliber of Dr. Frank Nabwiso, because his ilk are not so many in our midst. He has been a rare species, and they are endangered. His caliber are endangered. Therefore, your sense of loss is very easily understood in the circumstances. To the church, thank you for warmly sending off your son. Reverend, in Masaka, one of the major icons at Bukalasa Seminary is the cemetery. It's very huge. Hundreds of priests from 19 zeros have been laid there. But a very small signpost has entered the cemetery, written in Latin, Memento Mori, to mean, remember, you must die. Not you will. It's not a presupposition. Remember, you must die. And therefore your words remind us of that command of death as a matter of life, not a negotiation. And therefore we reflect on the life of our senior comrade and father, and my sense is that he probably knew that he must die. My last interaction with him was sometime in June last year. He humbly came to my office when I was leader of the opposition, and we held probably over an hour's conversation. We shared a lot, and had wanted to guide me to document my memoirs, because he was also a prolific writer as an academic. We discussed a few things, but I never had enough time for us to sit down and agree on how to frame out what he had proposed. So I missed out on his depth of appreciating what he wanted us to do together. In the Parliament, for those of us who take care to read the records of Parliament, his contribution to the national agenda through the debates is sponsored, through the motions is sponsored, is very deep. So his contribution on the national agenda is immense. He's not simply an anecdote or a footnote in Parliament. His name is echoed on one of those names that had a contribution in Parliament. We shall miss him in these times. to the great kingdom of Busoga is a huge loss. My brother Council, these are the times when some of you must rise to step in the footsteps of great men. Not simply to occupy space because it is a vacuum, but to rise to the occasion and show cause why people must forget him but remember you for your presence. When people tell you that your presence, your absence is more felt than your presence, they know they remember him and not you in your presence. Please, I invite you to rise. The space is not just there. The country simply is looking for leaders. And the ping pong around the educated like you must stop. I'm not saying you play ping pong. I know you're a straightforward man. You have suffered the indignity of being shortchanged over time. I'm singling you out because I know we know each other so well. And I'm inviting you that this great man has rested. The people of Busoga must see you and others like you rise to really occupy that space and comfort the community of our common peoples in Busoga. Mr. President, my brother has observed in brief. This is not the time for me to detail what the DA is about. But I'm here to say that while great men like Dr. Frank rest, the task ahead of us is not going to be a conversation of bosom friends. It's going to be a conversation, a tough talk of serious statesmen and women. And that's where we are inviting all and sundry. That the DA is not a platform to swallow anyone, but a big tent to have a tough conversation by serious men about the future of this country. My brother Odaka has ably observed, and when you see my movements as part of the old NUP order, my movements are not in vain. It's because I have the lenses to sense a serious vacuum that's injurious to the struggles that we have been through over time. And when I say, please, it's not acceptable, rise, that's what it actually mean. That we must, as brothers and sisters, that cherish a common destiny, that have suffered the indignity at the hands of a dictator over the last 4 years, rise and say, we have our disagreements, but they are not personal disagreements. We must construe them as principled disagreements over which we desire a platform to have a conversation about what is possible. I'll give an example. My brother, the Honorable Nandala Mafawi, is an old friend. We are good friends. We disagree intensely over so many things, but the following day we look out for each other to talk about our disagreements, but also about our country. That's what we need, not grandstanding. To talk about the issues that have made Dr. rest, but without conviction. He probably could have done better. We did him badly in these moments, because these are moments for sobriety to reign in the midst of those who willed and desire to see a better Uganda. I stand here to promise you that will be part of that conversation, with a common desire, a single desire of seeing that we churn out a progressive possibility, regardless of what we disagree on. At least we agree on one thing, that all has gone wrong, and therefore we owe destiny a fresh conversation.
Finito. Kati asazeo yegatte ne FDC eyananzira amafabi ababa sente z'omuwo omusolo ne bateesako kanota kiza Besigye obukadde 3. Okitegedde Mpuuga yabba 5 bali babba zaali meka kwa Besigye ateekako 3 bano basigaza 5 nabo something ababbi n'ababbi bagenda bakwatagana kiki ekiriwo kulaba nga balemesa abantu abatuufu okulwana okujjako Nakimala General Kaguta Museveni. Bano bagenda begattagatta lwe twali tumanyi Nandala Mafaabi ne kagulupu ke neri ne baliba alo Uganda kakati ne Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba Finito ne ayongedde okwedaabulula ng'ayongera ayingira mu kabinja ako baali bakedistancinga era nga bakwogerera bikyamu mbu balya ssente za Museveni wololo kati olwaleero okuva lwe twamukwata omukolo nga guli mu nva bwe vveju kati naye agenze mu kigaali ky'abanna ali nabo batambula nabo gye badda gyadda mbu afune platform ayime